5. The 72 intelligences of the Mercury zone. The next sphere which the magician is to explore and to control is the Mercury sphere. In order to be able to stand its vibrations, the magician must have learned to control the influences and the vibrations of the sphere previously dealt with, i.e. the moon sphere. The description of the individual genii of this zone is accompanied by a number of hints which will, no doubt, be of interest to the magician. Hermes Trismegistus, an Egyptian high priest, was, no doubt, one of the greatest initiates before Christ. In his Book of Wisdom, known under the title of Thoth, he has left to posterity the highest wisdom that can ever be grasped on our planet. His Tabula Smaragdina, Hermes tablet, serves to prove the macrocosmic and microcosmic laws of analogy. This wisdom is called Hermetic science by people having reached the necessary maturity for their initiation. Originally, the Book of Wisdom by this high initiate consisted of 78 plates, which later became generally known as the 78 tarot cards. Although these tarot cards were degraded in the course of the time and used in card games, their secret meaning up to this day remains known to a few elect. The meditating magician will find a certain connection between the 78 tarot cards and the 72 genii of the Mercury zone, and he will attribute, out of the 6 remaining cards, 4 to the elements and 2 to polarity. The first tarot card symbolizes the spiritual development of man. In my first work, entitled Initiation into Hermetics, this development is explained in a precisely worked out system. The second tarot card symbolizes the connections with the beings of all spheres. The practical way to bring about such connections is explained in this book. The third tarot card hints at the cosmic language, at Quabella, which will be dealt with in detail in my third work, The Key to the True Quabella. According to the recordings left to posterity, Hermes Trismegistus was a representative of the highest knowledge, a brilliant example of human intelligence and of an enlightened spirit in analogy to the Mercury sphere, for that sphere is assigned to the immortal spirit and is analogous to it. Though the 72 genii of the Mercury sphere correspond in number to the original number of tarot cards, they are not successively represented by the tarot cards, i.e. by one tarot card for each individual genius, but are all symbolized in a certain part of the second tarot card, for this card, as already mentioned before, represents the total spheric magic. Behind the numerical connection between the 72 genii and the 78 tarot cards there is hidden a secret Quabbalistic key of the Mercury sphere. Many Quabbalistic writers erroneously regard the 72 genii of the Mercury sphere as the Skamamphorash, i.e. the unspeakable name of God consisting of 72 letters. But the so-called Skamamphorash, the unspeakable name of God, is expressed by the 4 syllabic letters Yod-He-Vav-He, the so-called Tetragrammaton, or Adonai. The genuine initiate and Quabbalist, however, is fully aware of the fact that the names supplied with numbers are the numerical key to the methods and instructions, the numerical key to correct application. More details on this subject will be found in The Key to the True Quabella, which deals with Quabbalistic mysticism, magic of formulae, i.e. practical theology. The following survey of the cosmic orderliness including the Mercury zone and its spheres is to make the magician acquainted with the structure of our universe from the magic Quabbalistic, i.e. from the Hermetic point of view. The Earth, the lowest sphere, is our physical world with its 3 kingdoms, the mineral, the vegetable and the animal kingdom. The physical body of man is an analogous connection with these 3 kingdoms. The moon, in its planetary function, the moon influences everlasting liquid on our Earth. The moon sphere, however, is analogous to the astral body and astral matrix of man. The zone girdling the Earth influences, on the other hand, the vital energy of man. Mercury, as a planet, Mercury influences the gaseous state of our Earth. The mental body of man is subject to its sphere. Venus, as a planet, it influences fertility on our Earth, as far as the vegetable and animal kingdoms are concerned. The Venus sphere is connected with man's sympathy, love and fertilization. The Sun, This planet influences the physical life on our Earth in all three kingdoms. The Sun sphere maintains the life of the mental, astral and physical body by the individual matrices. Mars, it influences all powers in the three kingdoms. As a planet, it is mainly responsible for the urge for self-preservation in the animal kingdom as well as in respect of man. The Mars sphere raises within man the impulse and desire to live. It influences man's character, qualities, total powers and faculties. Jupiter, as a planet, it causes harmony and legality. The Jupiter sphere, on the other hand, controls the evolution of fate and justice within man, leading him on his way to perfection, and assisting him in his efforts to reach the highest. Saturn, in its planetary function it influences the fates in all three kingdoms, the mineral, vegetable and animal kingdom, of our Earth. In its subtlest form it is known amongst us as ether. The Saturn sphere, on the other hand, controls the fate of man, also called karma. Man owes to the greatest influences of this sphere his faculty for intuition by which, depending on the grade of maturity of each individual, divine providence reveals itself. In the non-initiate it manifests itself as conscience. Uranus, this planet is responsible for any kind of magical development on our Earth. Its sphere reveals to man all the phenomena of magic. Neptune, in the hierarchy of the cosmos this planet keeps the Earth in its equilibrium. To the influence of this planet's sphere man owes his knowledge of the way to perfection as well as his knowledge of the cosmic language, of the so-called Quabella. Beyond these spheres there is nothing else but the divine light, the inconceivable and indescribable, called divine providence by us. There is nothing higher than that in our cosmic hierarchy. In Quabella, the cosmic hierarchy with all its influences is called the Quabbalistic Tree of Life. Further details of this are to be found in the author's third book The Key to the True Quabella, which is a description of the practical use of the Quabella. With reference to the Mercury zone it is pointed out once again that its sphere is analogous to man's mental sphere and that the genii of the Mercury sphere therefore greatly influence the spirit, i.e., the mental body of every human being. If, however, a genius of the Mercury sphere intended to affect, for instance, the astral sphere of a human being, he would, according to the laws of analogy, have to operate via the moon sphere and the zone girdling the Earth in order to make his influence work. A magician would have to do the same. The 72 genii of the Mercury zone are mentioned in a number of Quabbalistic books, but they are described as independent genii irrespective of their belonging to a special sphere. None of the authors of these books knew about the true functions of the 72 genii of the Mercury zone, nor did any one of them ever contact them personally. The names of the genii are correct, but the seals drawn and published in those books are so deficient that it appears doubtful whether they were ever based on true originals. Never satisfied with mere presumptions and always intending to save other people's time for further explorations, I have personally got into touch with all the 72 genii of the Mercury sphere and bring here their true seals and give a short description of their range of competence. The letters which accompany some seals represent secret keys, as the magician, after having got into contact with the relevant genius, will realize and learn. The seals of these genii are usually drawn in a yellow color on occasion of their first evocation. One has, however, to take care that the signs are reproduced in the same colors as in the pictured part of this book. It does sometimes happen that a genius wants to have his seal drawn in a different color. The magician must by all means see that he follows such a demand. Figure 1, Vuaya, is the name of the first genius of the Mercury sphere. The magician will learn from this genius how to strengthen his willpower and how to make his belief as firm as a rock in order to be able, due to these faculties, to increase his power of conviction in such a way that he can directly bring about true miracles. The magician will be told by this genius the secrecy of quickly achieving special kinds of magical faculties. Figure 2, Jaleel, the second genius of the Mercury sphere, initiates the magician into the mysteries of love and sympathy. Since this genius also knows about all the secret mysteries of sexual magic, he is prepared to reveal these to the mature magician. The magician who is in touch with this genius will also be taught how to change hostility into friendship, how to raise love in man and woman by force of magic, how to make this love increase and, should it be necessary, decay, how to become a master of love, how to make thieves return their stolen goods, how to ban, in various ways, murderers and other criminals, how to cause or calm down an earthquake, how, by special methods, to understand and be able to speak any language on earth, how to gain respect, power and riches and, vice versa, how to make unworthy people lose their reputation and riches. The contact with this genius will bring the magician many advantages. Figure 3, Sitel. The third genius, is an excellent expert in hypnosis, suggestion and telepathy. By him the magician will be taught the faculty of becoming perfect master of man and animal by way of deception, dazzling, etc. Apart from this, he will be instructed in the art of reading easily the past, present and future in the Akasha principle. Figure 4, Elamaya. The fourth genius instructs the magician not only how to become the master of his own fate, but also how to control the fates of other people and of animals. Furthermore, the magician learns how to charge magic words by quabalistic methods and to transfer them into the Akasha principle in order to bring about the desired effect in the mental, astral or physical world, and how, by diverse methods of passive intercourse to get into touch with the dead. Figure 5, Mahazaya. The fifth genius teaches the magician to get complete control over the elements by special quabalistic methods and to produce, without difficulty, all possible kinds of phenomena, to treat successfully by magic and quabala incurable diseases, to understand the laws of analogy of the microcosm and the macrocosm and, by doing so, to penetrate deeply into wisdom. Figure 6, Lele, is the sixth genius of the Mercury sphere. As an initiator into sexual mysteries, he shows the magician how to effect magical charges with the help of sexual magic. This genius is especially fond of talismans and amulets charged by love magic, and he will make the magician acquainted with all aids serving this purpose. He can give the magician exact information on all fields of science known on Earth. Apart from that, he can teach him how to make, by a special process, diverse lucky charms and talismans of protection. This genius is a friend of all artists, and, if magician is an artist himself, he will be especially inspired by this genius. Figure 7, Wakaya. The seventh genius instructs the magician in the following: how to make a rapid career in magic by applying apartment methods, how to make enemies into friends, how to make friends, how to raise love, and how to read in the Akasha principle the fate of individual persons as well as the fate of whole nations. Figure 8, Kaetel, is the name of the eighth genius of the Mercury sphere. This genius teaches the magician to control the electromagnetic fluid by the magic of elements, enabling him to cause the most diverse phenomena in nature. The magician is also taught by this genius how to influence, positively or negatively, the growth of plants by the help of electromagnetic fluids. Having learned from this genius certain powerful words, the magician will be able to cause rain, snow, thunderstorm, hailstorm, etc., and make them cease again. Figure 9, Aziel. The ninth genius teaches the magician divine justice and divine mercy and shows him how far these two divine virtues will go in all planes and spheres. Guided by this genius, the magician will learn to appease enemies, to awaken love and to make peace. The magician will then also know how to protect himself by force of magic against his greatest enemies and their assaults. He will have learned how to become famous and rich. But Aziel also informs the magician on everything that exists under the surface of the earth, on hidden treasures, metals and subterranean waters alike. Figure 10, Aladaya, is the 10th genius. He teaches the magician the occult anatomy of man, its harmonies and disharmonies, and shows him how to protect himself against inharmonious influences in the quabalistic manner and how to find the causes of diseases and to treat them successfully. Aladaya is an excellent initiator into chemistry and alchemy, into magic and quabala. He instructs the magician in the use of powers and plants for various magical practices. Figure 11, Law via the 11th genius, makes a mature magician acquainted with banning formulae by which he can influence fierce thunderstorms, and fight and ban enemies. Being an initiator, Law via can instruct the magician in military science, can teach him how to become a magical authority and how to become a famous and honored man. This genius will, furthermore, help the magician to solve, with surprising easiness, the most difficult problems. Figure 12, the 12th genius, is an initiator into the laws of analogy and teaches the language of symbols, i.e. how to interpret correctly all symbols, even the most complicated ones, and, vice versa, how to express any idea by symbols. He makes the magician solve the most difficult problems in hermetic science, reveals to him deep truths and secret mysteries which up to the present have only been comprehended by a few magicians. This genius is also an excellent initiator into magic and quabella. On account of his powers, he is able to make the most embittered enemies into friends, to make the love between friends grow, and many other things. Figure 13, Jezzael, the 13th genius, helps all writers and artists by inspiring them and making them thoroughly successful. He shows the magician means and ways to become an excellent orator. He assists politicians by awakening and increasing within them their oratorical gift. Special methods which this genius has at his disposal lead to a clear intellect and good memory, to the acquisition of an excellent gift of perception and a ready wit in every respect. By Jezzael's help the magician can procure for himself the favor of very important persons, secure for himself success in love matters, learn about the secret plans of his enemies, and many other things. Figure 14, Mabel, the 14th genius, helps to win wars, to realize plans for peace. He inspires politicians and helps them to carry out their plans. Being a special friend of justice, this genius is a protector against injustice and helps to settle legal affairs righteously. He helps to get prisoners who have been innocently imprisoned out of prison. This genius will teach the magician the art of reading other person's thoughts and, apart from that, how he can detect and control his persecutors and enemies. Figure 15, Hanel, the 15th genius of the Mercury sphere, is an excellent initiator into occult philosophy, into magic and quabella. In the Mercury sphere itself, he is also an initiator into evocation. He supplies the magician with means by the help of which he can protect himself against the negative beings of that sphere. Hariel teaches the magician to make use, inductively and deductively, of the influence of the Mercury zone on all three planes of our existence. Being a great lover of peace, this genius can bring about the circumstances, if necessary, that will lead to peace. If the magician needs the protection of very important persons, this genius will also be able to give him his assistance. Figure 16, Hakemaya, is the name of the 16th genius of the Mercury sphere, who, by applying occult means, will help the magician to honor, renown, glory and riches. If the magician wishes it, Hakemaya can also make women love him and entrust him with the secret of treating successfully infertility of women, and he will also inform the magician of amulets that suit this purpose. Figure 17, Lanoia, the magician is taught by the 17th genius how to look, mentally, astrally and physically, into the past, present and future in the Akasha principle, especially in respect of technological inventions. Diverse new inventions in technology, chemistry and electricity are due to the inspirations of this genius. His intuition is the cause of the great success of musicians and composers, in respect of their art as well as in respect of the audience. Lanoia is known as an excellent initiator into the magic of music. The magician will also find in him a teacher of cosmic metaphysics. Figure 18, Kaliel, the 18th genius, is an excellent initiator into high magic and quabella, and the magician who gets into contact with him can achieve many things with his assistance. He may, for instance, be told about magic formulae, powerful words, which, in case of emergency, need only be uttered by the magician, and immediate help from the Mercury beings will be the result. In magic, Such formulae are called magic quabalistic distress call, and a magician will make use of them only in case of great distress, for he can, by using such a distress call, instantly kill his enemies. Khalil informs the magician about the various kinds of magic formulae and their use, for instance, how to become invisible, mentally, astrally, and, if necessary, also physically, by saying suitable magic formulae. Furthermore, how to dematerialize oneself mentally, astrally and physically, in order to become visible again at the furthest possible distance. Khalil teaches the magician the art of overbridging time and space and of becoming a perfect master in the Akasha. If desired by the magician, Khalil will reveal to him all herbs and precious stones necessary for magical science and teach him how to use these herbs and precious stones in alchemy as fluid condensers and how to charge the precious stones magically. The magician will find in this genius a friend, advisor and assistant in many respects. Figure 19, Liuvaya, the 19th genius teaches the magician how to achieve a high intelligence, excellent memory and marvelous judgment. Should the magician ever take a wrong step in his actions, this genius will help him to compensate for it. Apart from this, the magician will be taught how to raise or increase love with men and women, friends and enemies by magic quabalistic methods. Figure 20, Bahalaya, the 20th genius informs the magician of the legality of the micro and macrocosm, initiates him into the evolution of man and explains to him the true sense of ascesis and magical equilibrium, and, furthermore, also the synthesis of all religious systems of our earth from the Hermetic point of view, so that the magician is able to separate the chaff from the wheat. Apart from this, Bahalaya makes the magician realize the diverse effects of the divine virtues on all three planes. Figure 21, Nelakil is the name of the 21st genius of the Mercury sphere. He is an excellent initiator into the whole Hermetic science. He helps occult writers by inspiration and by giving them a great power of imagination. He provides the person looking for genuine truth with the appropriate means for his studies and lets him get into contact with a genuine teacher of magic, a guru. His methods, instructions and formulae protect the magician against the negative influences of any sphere. He gives exact information on the magic powers of herbs and precious stones that are of special importance in magic and Kabbalah and alchemy, as well as on the effectiveness of the Akasha principle and on the art of reading in it. Figure 22, Jael, the 22nd genius helps the magician to become respected and rich by magic and Kabbalah and also lets him become famous, should he want it. He establishes success in profession and in traveling and reveals means of protection against accidents. A talisman manufactured and worn according to this genius' instructions will always protect against any kind of inconveniences. If the magician is born as an inventor, he will find in this genius an excellent initiator who, apart from other things, will allow him to look into the past, present and future for anything that should interest him. Figure 23, Melee, the 23rd genius of the Mercury sphere, entrusts the magician with quabalistic formulae that will protect him against any kind of weapon. Amulets manufactured according to the instructions of this genius protect against surprise attacks on journeys. Other quabalistic formulae which this genius has at his disposal cause the greatest fire to stop instantly, make one bear the greatest possible heat, without singeing one single hair on one's body. Since this genius is also acquainted with herbal medicines, he can give the magician excellent recipes for the preparation of blends of tea and their dosage for the treatment of diseases. Figure 24, Hahuaya, the 24th genius will tell the magician banning formulae by which he can control dangerous animals, influence thieves, so that they restore the stolen goods, influence murderers, in order to make them confess their shameful deeds. One single word of power is able to completely paralyze a murderer instantly. With respect to magic and Kabbalah, this genius is an excellent initiator and makes the magician acquainted with the most diverse magic arts. Since he is also well acquainted with the magic of formulae, he knows the most diverse formulae, protectant formulae, some of which the reader will find in my next work, The Key to the True Kabbalah. Figure 25, Nithya. The 25th genius is, as far as magic and Kabbalah are concerned, the greatest original initiator of the Mercury sphere, who guards all secret mysteries well. He sees to it that to no unworthy person is revealed the Abhisheka or knowledge in magic and Kabbalah. On the other hand, he initiates a mature magician into the profoundest secret mysteries of magic and Kabbalah and enables him to comprehend the deepest mysteries of the cosmic orderliness and to make practical use of its laws. The magician will not only find in this genius an original initiator into all sciences, but also into the greatest wisdom that can ever be grasped by a man. Nithya is the guardian angel of all magicians on earth. Figure 26. Hayaya, the 26th genius is regarded as a protector of justice, and he helps the magician in contact with him win any lawsuit if the magician is right. Being a friend of high diplomacy, this genius can help the magician to make a speedy career if he is working in the diplomatic field. The magician also is informed how to gain the favor of very important people, how to gain knowledge and riches, how to encounter his enemies, in order to reveal any treason or secret plans and operations. Figure 27, Jarathal. The 27th genius can give the magician an excellent talent for learning languages and procure for him the favor of friend and enemy. He lets the magician see in the Akasha principle what his enemies are planning to do and how he can protect himself against them. For this purpose, the genius entrusts him with various spanning formulae. If the magician is a writer, Jarathal can make him a famous man by providing him with an excellent capacity of perception and showing him means and ways to achieve this without difficulty. Figure 28, Sir. The 28th genius can inform the magician of powerful formulae by which he can, for instance, cause or stop thunder and lightning, or a terrible thunderstorm, how to cause a fire over the greatest distance, or how to stop or localize it, how to destroy completely whole cities, and how, on the contrary, to protect towns and houses in wartime, so that they remain untouched. You need never worry about any misuse, since an immature person would never be revealed these secrets. The magician who has taken up contacts with this genius need not be afraid of anything, for he is under special protection. Figure 29, Rael, is the 29th genius of the Mercury sphere. He makes available to the magician great truths, and he makes him understand them completely. Besides this, he informs the magician of the plans of his enemies, no matter whether visible or invisible, and gives him advice how he can protect himself against them, how he can make them change their minds to become his friends. This genius is prepared to reveal to the magician many secrets which up to this date have remained unrevealed. He may also be told by Rael about the cosmic orderliness and the correlative effects of its powers. Figure 30, Amal, is the 30th genius in this sequence and a great friend of the animal kingdom. He is therefore able to inform the magician of many means which can be successfully applied to cure sick animals. He is also a friend of physicians, especially of gynecologists and surgeons, and, if the magician is active in any of these fields, he will be given excellent skill by this genius and, apart from this, will be initiated into occult anatomy and medicine. Amal is also well acquainted with chemistry and alchemy, and the magician may profit a great deal from him in this respect. Amal also gives exact information on prenatal education. The magician who has got into contact with this genius will never get into distress and grievance. He will always feel the favorable influence of his protector. Figure 31, Lekabel, the 31st genius is an initiator into love magic and all sexual mysteries. Besides this, he can instruct the magician in Kabbalah and talismanology and in the art of acquiring the most diverse magical faculties by the Akasha principle, or by the use of the light, for instance, clairvoyance, making oneself invisible, etc. The magician will find Lekabel to be an excellent teacher in alchemy. Following his instructions, the magician is able to prolong his life at will. But there are many other advantages resulting from the contact with the 31st genius of the Mercury sphere. The magician can, for instance, become a rich man after this genius has made him discover precious treasures hidden under the earth. The magician learns how to force thieves by magic to restore the stolen things or to give themselves up. This genius also unveils the secret of how to become a talented orator, and many other things. Figure 32, Vaziraya. The magician will find the 32nd genius to be a versatile initiator and protector whom he may call on any time he wishes. He helps the magician obtain his right. Thieves, robbers, liars will be induced by him to tell the truth. He can provide one with an excellent talent for talking and instruct the magician how, by the help of Quabella, to acquire such talents. In order to help him in moments of distress, the magician will be revealed powerful formulae or powerful words by this genius by which the fiercest aggressor can be made ineffectual. This genius can instruct the magician in astrophysics, in space magic and Quabella, as well as in all other magic arts, and he can also assist artists in their profession. He may also reveal to the mature magician magic words by which he becomes invisible and invulnerable against any kind of weapon. Figure 33. Jehuiah, the 33rd genius, is a teacher of all sciences of the earth. He helps the magician to pass successfully any examinations that he might have to go in for. He allows him to look into the past, present and future of all things, makes him recognize his enemies, is able to change hostility into friendship, to raise love in man and woman and to increase friendship. Furthermore, he teaches the magician the art of levitation, the practical application of the law of gravitation in a magical sense, instructs him in the dematerialization and the materialization of bodies and other objects and in space magic. He reveals to him the remotest truths and he also assists the magician in solving difficult magical problems by way of inspiration. Figure 34, Lehiah, the magician is told magic formulae for the calming of tempestuous spirits, so that he eventually becomes their master and is able to control lightning, thunder and thunderstorms on land as well as on the sea. If the magician, protected by this genius, is on a voyage, the ship will resist the greatest gales and return safely to its harbor. Led by Lehiah, the magician will achieve great things. At this special request he will be initiated by this genius into the remotest divine mysteries and he will be shown many interesting facts about magic and Quabella, and thus an almost boundless number of possibilities will open to him. Figure 35, Kivakaya, is the 35th genius, who will show the magician ways and means to become complete master of all dangerous influences of negative beings. He turns the greatest enemy into a friend of the magician, creates peace everywhere where it is desirable, amongst individuals as well as amongst nations and peoples. If the magician wants it, Kivakaya will help him to become rich and honored. Figure 36, Manadel, the 36th genius, is an excellent initiator into synthetic astrology. He teaches the magician to apply his astrological knowledge for spagyrical and alchemical purposes. He informs him at what time and for what purpose he should manufacture and charge talismans and by which way the desired powers can be bound into precious stones by force of magic and Quabella. He tells him the exact time when he should collect herbs and the practical application of their power for curing and for magical practices. This genius is also able to free prisoners, no matter in whatever kind of jail they may be. This he effects either by force of magic, i.e., by inciting wardens to open the locks and doors of the jail, or by an act of mercy. This genius also procures luck and happiness in one's profession, the favor of very important persons, and many other things. Figure 37, Aniel, is the name of the 37th genius, who is a friend of poets, writers, playwrights, composers and of everything that has to do with arts. A magician who is interested in arts can be sure that this genius will always help him. He may not only be initiated into all the sciences of this world, but also into many magic arts. The magician will get more information on the remotest secrets of nature and on the whole occult philosophy as well as on the most secret mysteries of initiation into magic and Quabella. Aniel awakens in the magician his talent for translating these high mysteries into the language of the intellect. Figure 38, Haimiah, this genius is a very popular one in the Mercury sphere. He willingly opens all spheric treasure chambers to the mature magician, i.e. he reveals to him the deepest wisdom, and by doing that he leads him to highest bliss. The 38th genius makes the magician also bear his earthly lot by strengthening his health, procuring for him contentment, happiness and renown. This genius can fulfill the magician any wish. Figure 39, Rehale, is a special initiator into alchemy and occult anatomy. The magician is taught by this 39th genius of the Mercury sphere the manufacture of the philosopher's stone, as well by dry as by wet procedure, by which the astral or physical body can be impregnated and rejuvenated. The magician is thus able to prolong his life as long as he wants. Rehale is also a great friend of children and sees to it that child-loving persons, parents, get a lot of children. He gives exact information on all child diseases and likes to help in such cases. This genius will awaken love and loyalty in the people that are nominated by the magician. Figure 40, Eazel. If the magician wants to free someone from prison or from his enemies, he should refer to the 40th genius of the Mercury sphere, who will either give him his direct personal assistance or have those people influenced by his subordinates who are able to free the person in question. The things that the magician can learn from Eazel are, the magical dematerialization and rematerialization of objects over the greatest distances, the power to influence human beings, animals and physical objects by the magic of elements, the finding out of the past, present and future of any person or thing, the transmutation of enemies into friends, the causing and calming down of thunderstorms by magic formulae revealed to the magician by this genius, the curing of psychic disharmonies, melancholies, by magic formulae, etc. Since Eazel is also a good friend of all artists, he secures success by inspiration and makes them loved by the audience. The same is the case with the artists that work as writers and editors of books. Figure 41, Hahale, is responsible for strategic success and causes man to make new inventions in this respect. He also leads to the discovery of the plans of the enemy. If the extermination of whole armies or the evocation of storms becomes necessary, this genius will provide the magician with the necessary magic formulae. Apart from this, the magician will be taught how to increase any kind of energy in an astonishing manner, how to become invulnerable and how to recognize the workings of the Akasha principle in the mental, astral and physical world. When applying the special methods revealed by this genius, the magician will be able to increase his power to the height of perfection and to intensify his belief and power of conviction in such a way that he will be able to work miracles. Figure 42, Mikhail. The magician can be made acquainted by this genius with magic quabalistic methods which will make him master his enemies, discover their plans and thus annihilate these before they can ever be realized. He is also taught how to dazzle his adversaries and to get them headed in the wrong direction by deception. The 42nd genius helps politicians and diplomats make a wonderful career and provides them with a marvelous gift of intuition and presentiment. Figure 43, Vyubhaya. This genius teaches the magician to discover the plans of his enemies and to defeat any purposes directed against him. Due to the special methods that this genius is able to reveal to the magician, the latter will become absolute master over his adversaries. Furthermore, he will learn the art of producing talismans that offer special protection for the soldier on the battlefield and save him from death, and the art of healing wounds by magic and Quabala within a few seconds, and many more things of that sort. Figure 44, Lelaya. The 44th genius of the Mercury sphere entrusts the magician who has got into touch with him with special quabalistic methods by which he can make the blind see, the deaf hear and cure an insane. Moreover, the magician is instructed by Lelaya in the transmission of things over the greatest distances and in their withdrawal by means of beings or dematerialization and rematerialization. He is taught how to read correct in the Akasha principle and how to be successful in any affair and have all his own wishes or the wishes of other people fulfilled. Figure 45, Alaya, enables the magician to recognize all those people who practice black magic, sorcery and witchcraft. He makes him acquainted with methods which will enable him to make any aggressor ineffectual, and cover his adversaries with the so-called magic hood which makes any kind of magical experiment impossible. The magic manufacture of such a hood which no black magician is ever able to penetrate is revealed to the magician by this 45th genius of the Mercury sphere. Similar to the other genii of this sphere, also a liar can make the magician acquainted with magic words which at the moment of their articulation cause great earthquakes that can destroy completely whole cities. Such magic words will, however, never be revealed to any human being with low ethical standards, therefore no one need to be afraid of any misuse. That the magician thus also becomes the master of land and water need not be emphasized here. He is capable of forcing thieves to return the goods they have stolen, of humiliating the arrogant and haughty, of helping the wronged to his rights. Assisted by this genius, the magician will be able to carry out all the above-mentioned things, for he will be made master over our earth. Figure 46, Ariel. This genius can provide the magician with the faculty or prophecy, can teach him to control completely the Akasha principle in respect of looking into the past, present and future, instruct him to charge vaults, and so on. If the magician wishes to become a rich man, providing he has good reasons for doing so, this genius will help him discover any of the treasures of the earth. But this is not all, he will also make the magician acquainted with the greatest secrets of nature and life. For instance, he will teach him how to bring about involuntary dreams over the greatest possible distances, how to charge precious stones with certain powers, how to propagate all kinds of elementaries in a magic quabalistic manner. Ariel may also make it possible for the magician to have intercourse with the positive beings of other spheres and may instruct him about talismans and other magical arts. Figure 47, a liar, to learn to recognize and understand the laws of justice and legality, i.e. to maintain a permanent equilibrium in respect of the worldly as well as the spiritual laws, is an art in which the 47th genius can instruct the magician. He can also make the magician comprehend the deepest secrets, make him behold, in the Akasha, the whole life of any human being, by looking into his past, present and future. A liar will be pleased to acquaint the magician with the special methods by which these faculties can be awakened in man. There is also no doubt about this genius's interest in procuring the magician's rights in any matter. He is also able to awaken love in human beings, to increase the sympathy between friends, to change hostility into friendship, etc. Above that, he is able to stimulate the favor of important people. Figure 48, Mihail, the 48th genius of the Mercury sphere may be regarded as a teacher of alchemy. Especially regarding transmutation, i.e. the transmutation of metals, this genius is able to give the magician thorough information. The magician will be given methods by which he can, if he chooses, change the electronic oscillation of any metal, i.e. make gold out of the most inferior type of metal. The magician is also taught to go about vice versa, if, for instance, he wants to change the gold and silver of an avaricious person into lead and iron by force of magic and quabella. In the same way it is possible to make precious stones out of common stones. Furthermore, the magician learns from this genius, to increase or diminish love and passion in men, to create atmospheres in which human beings must do what the magician wants them to do, to cure women from infertility, to procure peace, concordance and loyalty between married couples, so that no force in the world, except death, will be able to separate them. Figure 49, Visual. The magician will be made acquainted by the 49th genius of the Mercury sphere with all kinds of prophecy, starting from the most simple ones up to the perfect reading in the world of the Akasha, and will learn to control them. Apart from this, he will be taught how to increase his consciousness to enable him to place himself anywhere he likes, to read at once the thoughts of any human being, to learn to know everything in respect of his aura, and, by doing so, to recognize his character at a single glance, whether he is dealing with a foe or a friend. The magician may also learn from this genius all possible ways of influence. Having once got into contact with this genius, He will be able to spend his life in peace and tranquility. Figure 50, Daniel. This genius makes it possible for the magician to look into the workshop of divine providence and to perceive the workings and effects of the Akasha principle, and, furthermore, the 50th genius will enable the magician to comprehend the effectiveness of the divine virtues and, by doing this, to influence within him the vibrations of love and charity. This will put the magician into a state of happiness which can only be experienced by persons who have been guided by this genius. There are even more advantages derived from the connection with this genius. The magician will learn to differentiate between justice and injustice, will develop a good sense of judgment, act cleverly in any matter, be successful as a writer, achieve an excellent talent as an orator, become witty and enjoy deep intuitions. He will learn to recognize in any religious system its true philosophical contents. In case of emergency, the magician will always be inspired with the right ideas by this genius. Figure 51, Hahaziah, is one of the original initiators into the Hermetic science. Not only will he provide the magician with genuine information on magic and Quabella, but he will also instruct him in astrophysics, in astrochemistry and alchemy, initiate him into the deep mysteries of wisdom and teach him the art of elevating his spirit into the most various planes and spheres and to act there consciously. Due to the special methods which the magician will be given by the 51st genius of the Mercury sphere, he will be able to make his mental, astral and physical body invisible and, apart from this, to change certain causes in the Akasha principle in respect of their effects. There are, however, other advantages the magician will enjoy on account of his connections with this genius. He will be taught how to produce various medicines. If the magician deals with medicine, he can become an excellent doctor, guided by this genius, and will have great success with his cures and be much loved by his patients. Figure 52, Imamaya, the 52nd genius allows the magician to become the master of his fellow men, especially of his adversaries, and he shows him means and ways to make them innocuous. By Imamaya's help, prisoners can regain their freedom, either by direct magical action or by influencing those people who can decide on the setting free of a prisoner. Imamaya is a special initiator into astrology in respect of magic and Quabella. Thus the magician may get valuable information from the teaching of this genius. He may get information on any field of science existing on Earth. Since Imamaya has a special sense for gaiety, entertainment and pleasure, he brings about situations which will no doubt satisfy the magician in this respect. Figure 53, Nanil. Surely, the advanced magician will want to understand and get under his control any animal. The 53rd genius of the Mercury sphere can initiate him into this art, so that he will understand the languages of all animals. He will, by force of magic, be able to change his mental and astral body in such a manner that any animal will perceive him. The magician may also appreciate being made acquainted with all the laws of magic and Quabella. By apartment meditations, the magician will eventually penetrate into the deepest problems and acquire many magical faculties. Many magic methods for the controlling of animals and elements and the controlling of the astral body of man and animal may be given the magician by this genius. Figure 54, Nthil, is the 54th genius of the Mercury sphere. Being a great friend of all artists, writers and orators, he helps them to become famous. He makes the magician a favorite with very important people on earth and with higher beings, paves his way to satisfaction and success and leads him to complete happiness. He is able to inform the magician on any field of science of this world and is always a ready assistant to the magician. Figure 55, Mebaiah, the 55th genius is an assistant of infertile women insomuch as he can give the magician instructions for the elimination of the causes of infertility. Mebaiah creates love in all those cases where it is necessary, and he helps the magician to success, honor, esteem, respect, dignity and authority. He is an original initiator into genuine cosmic religion and a loyal assistant on the way to perfection. Figure 56, Poil, the magician will get everything he needs for his living, his studies, his profession, and earthly life, in general, by the assistance of the 56th genius, who will always be pleased to help him. The magician may learn from this genius everything past, present, and future, and will produce love and sympathy in all those cases where it should be necessary. The magician will be told those facts about occult philosophy, magic and Quabella, which up to that point have not yet become known to him, and he will be effectively assisted by Poil in his studies. Figure 57, Nemamaya, the 57th genius can reveal to the magician the secret of magical transmutation, i.e., the art of changing his own astral and mental body or those of other people into any desired shape. That this faculty is of great importance and that it provides the magician with valuable possibilities in respect of his knowledge of magic, need not be specially mentioned here. Yet another faculty the magician may acquire under this genius guidance is the art of magical mummification of the elements in order to be protected against any kind of influence by such elements. The magical practices which this genius will teach the magician will enable him to make blind people see again, to become clairvoyant, to make his body resist any kind of stress without difficulty, to be successful in any respect, to overcome any passion, to awaken love, increase or let it fade away again, to free imprisoned people, etc. This genius is especially fond of inspiring technicians and helps them make new inventions, especially in steel industry. Figure 58, Jael, being an initiator into sphere magic and spheric astrology, the magician will be taught great wisdom by this 58th genius of the Mercury sphere. He will be made acquainted with the various powers and effects of the individual spheres and their common influence on a zone girdling the Earth and on our physical world, and will learn to calculate these influences for magic purposes and to make practical use of this knowledge in magic and Quabella. Apart from this, the magician learns to become absolute master over all the beings of the elements and spheres and how to increase his magic power and authority. Figure 59, Hara. The 59th genius is also an expert in astro-magic and teaches the transfer of magic powers on precious stones. He will reveal to the magician who has got into contact with him methods for the prenatal education of children and, apart from that, also methods by which infertility can be removed from women. Harel is a special friend of all gynecologists, midwives, etc. This genius is well acquainted with all the earthy sciences and is therefore able to give the magician exact information on anything. If the magician is a businessman, and if he is interested in stock exchange matters, Harel will give him good hints as to which papers will be going up and which will fall. Figure 60, Mizrael. If the magician needs great manual skill in his profession, he should, by all means, address the 60th genius of the Mercury sphere, who will, no doubt, help him in this respect. If the magician is interested in the philosophy of religions or in any other sciences, he can be initiated into all these by Mizrael and thus become a great scientist by private studies. This genius is also well acquainted with alchemy, and the magician may learn from him how to prolong one's life by alchemical spagyric means and how to mummify one's body and, furthermore, how mental diseases can be cured successfully. This genius is also very pleased to give information on divine virtues and their influences and on the manifold magic faculties. He shows the magician how to free those who are persecuted by enemies and teaches him how to make such enemies innocuous. Figure 61, Amable. No magician will want to fail to get into contact with the 61st genius, for by his help he is able to achieve more than one may think possible, for instance, happiness and contentment in this life, friendship and love, travels for his recreation and entertainment with the necessary means, instruction in alchemy, especially in the use of the elements for various alchemical purposes to turn water into wine or, vice versa, wine into water. Instruction in the changing of metals, i.e. the transmutation, instruction in magic and Quabba 1r. Amable is so powerful that he is, without exaggeration, able to turn fools into wise men. Figure 62, Jahal, the 62nd genius of the Mercury sphere teaches the magician the way to realize within him the divine virtues, the art of meditation and concentration. He teaches him how to find out the workings and effects of the Akasha Principani, how to become a wise man by studying magic and Quabella, how to grasp the essence of any philosophy. Jah initiates the magician into various arts, for instance, how to change a rod into a snake and vice versa, similar to Moses' doings before Pharaoh. He teaches him how to make all snakes gather at a certain spot, how to immunize himself against snake poison, so that even the most pernicious snake cannot do him any harm. If the magician so wishes, this genius even lets him discover hidden treasures. Figure 63, Annual, the 63rd genius of the Mercury sphere, initiates the magician into all kinds of medical treatment, no matter whether by medicines, or by magic and Quabba. The magician is taught how to prepare special protective amulets against different diseases and negative influences and how to charge them, furthermore, how to get under his control any negative beings of the Mercury sphere and how to protect himself against unforeseen influences by magic words revealed to him by this genius. He helps all those who have to do with trade and money by seeing that they make money and that all their intentions are realized. He shows the means and ways to get a penetrating mind and an excellent power of intuition, and at any time readily informs the magician on all the fields of science on our earth. Figure 64, Mail, the magic formulae that the 64th genius reveals to the magician will at once turn any enemy that endangers the magician's life into a pile of ashes, since the power of these words develop an incredible glow. Other formulae enable the magician to tame the wildest animal, to calm down the wildest mob. The magician who has got into contact with this genius will be initiated into many mysteries, which have so far remained unknown, as well as into all those sciences that interest him. Led by Mail, any magician will become a wise man, a famous writer, a great orator, etc. He will learn how to immunize himself against the decay of the elements and how to prolong his life at his will. Figure 65, Dhammabaya. The magician can be initiated into symbolism and talismanic magic, i.e., the magical preparation of talismans and amulets, by the 65th genius. He can be led to the origins of the highest wisdom existing on our planet. He is taught the laws of the microcosm and the macrocosm and their magic quabalistic application, and is instructed in the controlling of the water element, so that he gets complete power over any animal living in the water. This genius readily informs him about all the treasures hidden under the surface of the sea and makes him discover mineral springs. Since he is an initiator into hydrotherapy, he not only teaches the magician how to charge, by way of magic and Quabella, the water element with certain magic powers but also how to use it accordingly for medical purposes. This genius will assist, in word and deed, the magician in all his operations. Figure 66. Manacle. In order to recapture lost goods, the magician should refer to the 66th genius, who will help him discover any hidden objects and treasures. Above that, he will show him methods for getting an enlightened mind and will teach him how to express any idea by numbers and by Quabella. Apart from this, he will teach him how to adjust disharmonies, especially such disharmonies which have been caused by the influence of the moon. In consequence, the magician will be able to cure people from any kind of epilepsy, street vitus dance, lunacy, etc., by magic quabalistic methods or talismans. Furthermore, the magician will be taught by this genius how to get under his control all vegetation, how to influence it at his will, i.e., for instance how to make plants grow faster or how to stop them from growing. He is taught how to influence animals, for example, how to make fish, no matter how great or how dangerous, gather at a certain place, or how to make crocodiles tamed animals. He also teaches the magician how to influence the character of a human being, i.e., how to change it at his will. He teaches the correct interpretation of true dreams. There are many other magical possibilities in respect of our physical world which the magician will hear about when he gets into contact with Manacle. Figure 67, Eel, is a fantastic initiator into occult sciences, especially into magic and Quabella. He teaches the magician how to achieve the highest kind of enlightenment, absolute perfection, by the help of these sciences and how to overcome any kind of hindrances or bad influences on the way to perfection. Under the guidance of the 67th genius, the magician becomes ruler of nature, especially of the vegetable kingdom, and he is able to work miracles by the magic of nature which are only known to few magicians. Also, this genius can help the magician who is interested in being in contact with him to success, honor, fame and respect. Figure 68, Pabuaya, all kinds of medical treatment, even of the most severe diseases, will be taught the magician by the 60th genius. At the same time he is initiated into occult anatomy and hermetic medicine. He learns about the preparation of alchemical means against the most diverse diseases. The magician is also taught to achieve great things by the magic of nature, for instance, how to restore the fertility of the earth by help of magic and Kabbalah, and how, vice versa, to make whole countries infertile. By Pabuaya's help the magician will be able to turn enemies into friends, to awaken love in human beings of both sexes and to increase it. Figure 69, Rochel teaches the magician how to find, by the help of the Akasha principle or by the assistance of beings, any thief, no matter how cunning he might be and wherever he might have hidden himself. Special methods will enable the magician to influence thieves in such a way that they will give themselves up and restore the stolen goods. He is taught to hinder thieves from running away and to make them stand stiff like a mummy as long as it seems necessary. The 69th genius is a patron of justice and will always see that the magician has his rights fulfilled and that he wins any lawsuit. This genius may be called at any moment of distress. Figure 70, Jebemiah, is an excellent initiator into ceremonial magic, and the magician is taught by him to cause the greatest magic phenomena by magic and Kabbalah, to read in the Akasha principle and to operate by it, and to use the light in a magical sense in all three planes. He is acquainted with special methods by which you can learn the art of astral and mental wandering, the dematerialization and the materialization of himself, of other people and other things, and the faculty of transference over the greatest distances. The 70th genius leads the magician along the way of enlightenment towards highest bliss. The magician may also be initiated by this genius into all sexual mysteries, from the making of a baby to the preparation of a magic vault. Mere words cannot express the advantages a magician will enjoy if he gets into contact with this genius. Figure 71, Hail, guided by the 71st genius, the magician will learn to master any situation, to get out of the worst trouble, to make his enemies obedient and to help all those who are being persecuted by foe or fate. Hail knows methods by which the magician is able to increase his magic powers as far as possible, so that at the end he is capable of working miracles. This genius is, in any respect, an excellent teacher and assistant. Figure 72, Mumaya, is the name of the last genius of the Mercury sphere. He is an excellent initiator into magic and Kabbalah. Under his guidance the magician is able to carry out any magical operation in any sphere. He is made aware by this genius of any hindrance that might lie on his way and at the same time told how to overcome it. Since Mumaya is also an original initiator into alchemy, metaphysics, astrophysics and especially into occult medicine, he also teaches the magician how to successfully treat any disease, and by which magic, Kabbalistic or alchemical methods strong health and a long life can be secured. The 72nd genius can give information on the production of the philosopher's stone, on alchemical quintessences, and on many other relevant things. He is rightly called the patron of all doctors who deal with magic, Kabbalah and alchemy. The informative description of the 72 genii of the Mercury sphere thus comes to an end. If the magician has learned also to control this sphere completely, he has, indeed, become a good magician of spheres. The controlling of the intelligences of the zone girdling the Earth, the Moon sphere and the Mercury sphere are most essential, since these three spheres are next to the magician and correspond to all three worlds, i.e., the physical, the astral and the mental world. The sphere magician is therefore advised to become absolute master of these three spheres and their intelligences. During his magical and evocational work, the magician will convince himself that by having contacts with these three spheres, their intelligences, genii and subordinated beings, he will be able to achieve anything in such an abundance that a magically untrained person could not have the slightest notion of it. To have all wishes fulfilled, the magician is offered in this book a great selection of intelligences, and he will not need any other book. The magician should be aware of the fact that each individual intelligence described in this book, no matter to which zone or sphere it may belong, can supply him with such an amount of knowledge and wisdom, depending on his maturity and development, that a whole, extremely interesting book could be written in each case. The short introductory notes given in this book are only to serve the magician as guiding lines for further practical work. How many methods and practices, how much knowledge and wisdom can be gained from it, depends on the magician alone. However, one thing is quite certain: the sphere magician, by being in contact with and having control over the intelligences of the cosmic hierarchy, is traveling along the path to perfection, and it is therefore possible for him to become a true adept.